This is Insight Radio, and my name is Shofu Babalola, and you are now listening to your number one online radio station. The light you need on Insight Radio.
Capital income increases by 5% more in globalizing countries than non-globalizing countries. Simply put, countries that globalize grow faster than those that don't. In globalizing countries than non-globalizing countries. Simply to argue that the cultural cost of this environment is too high. In globalizing countries than non-globalizing countries. The fact. Simply to argue that globalized countries are more China and Tanzania. Nothing that the high level of cultural erosion in 2006 for practice globalization. Nothing that the globalized cultural erosion for practice Finally, psychology. My opponent's entire argument is in defense of a risk. But psychology, through a phenomenon called probability neglect, teaches us that people tend to overestimate real risk and underestimate common risk. This is why, for example, people are more scared of traveling by air than by road, even though they are more likely to die in a road accident. Cultural erosion is a real risk that in 2009 anthropological research by the Macquarie Journal says will most likely not happen. Yet, my opponents want us to ignore the evidence of globalization in our eyes for a risk in their imagination. Hence, their reward, termination. In conclusion, dear opponents, when you get back to the Faculty of Arts and they will ask you why you lost, tell them that you lost to the Faculty of Social Sciences on a social science topic in the social science, because this is the year of the social sciences.
I'm sorry to much, but this will cause violence, but still beat me. You don't have to hurt me before you win. You don't have to kill somebody before you swim. Oh, shall it browse? Let there is trouble. Oh, there is
hands together again for the speaker from the social sciences. Thank you. So right about now, we're calling upon the first speaker from the Faculty of Arts, which is no other person than Boluwatife Nafisat Abojere.
Okay, thanks for your concern. I can't manage that, so don't worry about me, worry about your airline. Underrated, but I'm still cashing out. You go shock, you say I get money, but you pay.
Audience, today I shall be telling a tale of two cities, but unlike the novel, we shall have globalization as the plot and my opponent as the characters. My job here is simple. I accept that globalization is important for the development of countries, but where we draw the line is when it starts to erode most of their cultural values. Now, if globalization is seen by National Geographic as something that increases the connectedness of world cultures for both developing and developed countries, then it is evident that there is unequal power in the hands of the cultural power holders. And today, I will establish those unequal powers by telling four tales. First, the worst of times. 2, the best of times. 3, the age of wisdom. 4, the age of foolishness. Now to the first tale, the worst of times. What is culture like during globalization? Globalization aims to set a standard for all the cultures of the countries of the world, in that if developing countries want to be at the level of developed countries, in one way or the other, start imitating the cultures of developed countries. Now, according to Culture Counter Organization, it has been proven that this only creates a situation where we start having similar cultures. A very good example is the Western outfit. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that it is allowed for Jawwar speakers to come dressed in traditional outfits. But the reason we are all dressed in Western suits today is because there is an unspoken standard tied around it. Now you see, if I came here dressed in cultural attire, maybe I'll get 1 or 2 compliments, but I'll certainly be the odd one out. So you see, that there's a standard that developed countries have, that developing countries are trying to match up to. So it is evident that in the hands of the cultural holders, there is unequal power. So when my opponents come back here, let them know that sight is good, but insight is better. At this point, my opponents may come and say that when cultures come together, it doesn't mean that they will lose their core elements. A for effort. But what they fail to realize is that cultural hybridization eventually leads to cultural erosion. How? ResearchGate has proven. ResearchGate has proven it that when it comes to cultural hybridization, it is easy for it to lead to borrowing and appropriation, which eventually leads to cultural erosion. So you see that my opponent's point in these arguments is not insightful. So when they come, let them know that sight is good, but insight is better. Now to the second tale. The best of times. What was culture like during globalization? Ladies and gentlemen, it has been established by World Economic Policy in their article published titled Globalization on the December 8, 2018, that we had about 14,500 languages become less than 7,000 languages. That is total erosion. It was also established in 2007 by New York Times that half of the remaining 7,000 languages were so close to extinction. So you see that my opponent's fact coming here to clamor for globalization is in fact not insightful. So you see that obviously globalization cannot work. So dear opponents, sight is good, but insight is definitely better. My opponents may come and blame this language death on war and genocide. But when they do that, remind them that sight is good, but insight is better. And this is simply because globalization plays an active role in this language death. Now, to the third tale, the age of wisdom. How wise are countries when it comes to globalization? Ladies and gentlemen, globalization increases the dependence rate in which developing countries depend on developed countries. Let me give you an instance. Research FDI has clearly stated that developing countries import more films and books than they export theirs. So it is obvious that the receiving country's culture is at a total risk of their own cultural values and norms. Now to the final tale, the age of foolishness. Where are my opponents getting it wrong? My opponents will definitely come and say that even when cultures come together, it is a good thing because it will help reduce stereotypes and that people of a particular culture will not start understanding people of the other culture. But when they come, let them know that all they have is A for effort because cultural hybridization, in fact, globalization as a whole, only emphasizes oversimplification and overgeneralization of cultural differences. So when my opponents come, let them know that sight is good, but insight is way better. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I have successfully told 4 tales. The worst of times, the best of times, the age of wisdom, and the age of foolishness. And I have successfully established that there is unequal power in the hands of the cultural power holders. So when my opponents come here, let them know that their sight on this topic may be good, but our insight is better.
Well, that was a very, very nice one. Moving on to the second speaker from the social sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know you are excited, please put your hands together as I call upon the second speaker, which is no other than Yaya Dorcas.
If live a wonder,
Ladies and gentlemen,
For the past 5 minutes, my opponents have raised in practical arguments just to prove a stance that cannot stand. Never mind, because the voice of reason is here. As I will further prove that globalization is a worthy cause, despite the risk of cultural erosion. So arts, open your heart, as I'll be establishing my arguments today using words from your very own department. To start with, words from philosophy. A popular theory in philosophy is cosmopolitanism, which according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy is the idea that all humans, regardless of their cultural identities, are citizens of a single community. What this means is that we face common problems that require common solutions. Without globalization, problems like global warming, insecurity, poverty will become even more difficult to resolve. Take, for example, a 2022 UN report says that humanity stands a chance against climate change only through global collaboration. So you see, globalization does not intend to damage cultures. Rather, it recognizes the fact that despite our differences, we have problems that are neither limited by distance, language, race, or even color. So Faculty of Arts, even your grammars cannot blot this logic. Moving on to words from communication and language arts. My opponents may argue that globalization is not a worthy cause because it will lead to cultural erosion, which may engineer loss of language. But you see, the problem with that argument is that it ignores the fact that language and culture loss predates globalization. In fact, a 2022 article by the World Economic Forum indicates that it is the emergence of globalization that provided cultures with tools to promote languages. For instance, the only reason you are able to learn Swahili, a language that is mainly local to cultures in East Africa, from the comfort of your bedroom in Nigeria, is because apps like Duolingo exist. Basically, tools that resulted from the consequence of globalization made this possible. So you see, globalization is only providing us with tools to promote languages and transfer cultures across the world. Faculty of Arts, even your theatrics cannot blot this logic. Finally, words from linguistics. My opponent will say globalization will do that to do this to culture. But what they will fail to tell you is that when an alumnus of the Faculty of Arts, University of Ibadan, Razak Malik Bolawon, discovered that there was a need to protect Yoruba literature and culture, he founded Atelewo, an organization that relies on the various elements of globalization to digitize our culture and teach young Nigerians across the world our traditions. Simply put, globalization serves as an instrument to preserve and protect culture rather than eroding it. Faculty of Arts, not even your performance would outplay this logic. In conclusion, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, a worthy cause is defined as something useful, important, or good enough to be a suitable reward for something. See, your philosophy proves that it is useful. Your communication and language art shows that it is important. Even your linguistics states it is good enough to be a reward. So, dear Faculty of Arts, take out.
Atahiyatu lillah, zakiyatu lillah, tayyibatu salawatu lillahi. Assalamu alayka ya nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayka wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Iba fo ọmọ ìsátẹ́ntẹ́ntì kẹrùbàtẹ́ntì anakunti fàkútẹ́ ìlàbàkúntì.
Come on.
Àwọn ẹ̀rọ pè ní tatatatatatatatatatatatatatatatata. Alanta. Ó pọ̀, ó ti lọ fàfà, ó ti lọ fàfà, ó ti lọ fàfà, ó ti lọ fàfà,
That was intense. Everybody say the pressure is getting worse. All right, so now I'll be calling upon the second speaker from the Faculty of Arts. But before I call upon the second speaker, please, let us not fight. After she gave that impactful speech, the mic legit dropped. So please, as soon as you are done with your speech, please kindly drop the mic. Very well, thank you. So I'll be calling upon the second speaker from the Faculty of Arts, which is no other person than Adigun Mary Bukola.
After the reggae, play the blues. Make you do, that's I do. Enjoy yourself, baby boo.
Traditional mother Africa is at a crossroad of change. This truth is not just debated at Jawwar, but like the sound of guns, it has infiltrated our histories. Yet, my opponents suggest that we give up the core of our existence, our culture, at the feet of globalization. Oh well, when I was a child, I thought as a child. So children, listen, because my speech will grant you light that you may see. Now, let's establish the 3 essential processes in an erosion: detachment, transport, and deposition. First, detachment. Audience, globalization encourages a clash of cultures. There are certain cultures that are established based on their religious identities. When cultures from different religious beliefs meet, then the conflict becomes almost unavoidable. It then becomes an issue of us versus them type of identity. According to some entities clash of civilizations, there were several examples to back up this claim. In the Middle East, we see the clash between Judaism, Islam, and modern Christianity. In the former Yugoslavia, we see the clash between Orthodox Christianity and Muslim civilizations. In other words, when 2 or more cultures meet, it is not their similarities that are giving focus. Rather, it is the differences between them. Can you see now? Not yet. Check again. Now, to the second step in this erosion. The second step in this erosion is transport. Audience, globalization commodifies the cultures of nations by selling cultural products such as art, music, and literature in the global market, often without regard for its original meaning. Let's not even begin to talk about the various stolen African arts and artifacts in American and European galleries. The meaning, context, and value that's given to this art does no justice to the original representation that they portray. Now, this will only lead to an erosion of cultural authenticity. Can you see now? Not yet. Check again. At this point, my opponents may also claim that globalization helped local cultures to thrive. However, according to an article on globalization by Bitikan, it was clearly stated that though globalization claims to be able to preserve local cultures, in reality, the mixing of global and local does not always create a new hybrid culture. Instead, it can lead to the dominance of the global over the local. An example of this is McDonald's. Over 40,000 McDonald's restaurants are spread across the world, often changing local foodways and replacing local cuisine. Now, to the last process of this erosion, deposition. Audience, my opponent might claim that it is worthy to belong to the class of globalization over indigenous values that are outdated and unprogressive. What they have failed to understand is that global capitalism thrives on cultural imperialism. That is, a system where the values of and their culture is seen as inferior to the imperialists. Audience, we may have won the battle against physical colonization that is in chains. But you and I will agree that we have not won the battle against colonization of our minds. In conclusion, maintaining our cultural identities is never the problem. Will you agree with me that it is due to mixed and mistaken identity that made this Department of Social Sciences, the Department of Economics, leave the Faculty of Social Sciences to become a faculty on their own? Can you see now? Not yet. Check again next year.
Personally, I rock your body. I promise you go home, you won't get ready. I give it to you like you never had it. Screaming, judging, let's make it Chinese. Now waiting minutes, like a boom boom. Now waiting messy. Saya, she know hungry. She talks so she know.
Faculty of Art, make some noise. That's the spirit. That's the spirit.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, like we all know, we'll be having the rebuttal round. And for the rebuttal round, it will last for one minute for each constituency, for each faculty. So we'll be giving them a few seconds for them to cook up their rebuttal round. Thank you.
I don't know what you heard about me, but this ain't getting out of me. Don't gotta let no words you can't see. That I'm a motherfucking P.I.M.B. I don't know what you heard about me, but if this ain't getting out of me, don't gotta let no words you can't see. That I'm a motherfucking P.I.M.B. Now shawty, she in the club, she dancing for dollars. She got a thing for that Gucci, that Fendi, that Prada, that BCBG, Burberry, Dolce and Gabbana. She feed them fools fantasies, they pay them cause they want her. I spit a little G-man in my gang got her. An hour later, had her ass up in the Ramada. Them trick niggas in the last. Now everybody go to breakfast. Shayo.
oh. Nothing to discuss, oh. Cause I take on by default and without any doubt, oh. I'm a me happy adult, oh. I no go feed the girl, I no go feed the girl is out, oh. I'm a mind that's you the talk, oh. I put my life into my job and I know I'm in trouble. She manipulate my love, oh. I know, holy.
So while they are cooking up their rebuttal, we'll be recognizing the support and assistance of some of our sponsors so far. Recognizing the presence of Aim to Get. If you know you've downloaded the Aim to Get app, please make some noise. Hey! Have you downloaded the Aim to Get app? Why haven't you downloaded the app? So you've been missing out on all the offers. This is the right time to download the app. So kindly download the app. We'll be recognizing the sponsorship of Indomie, instant noodles, Munchies, Matty Grills, Saturns, Data King, Inside Radio, already recognized them, Class, Danwise, Cafe, Opposite, Idia, and the Union UCJUI. So by now, I'm very sure that our speakers are ready for the rebuttal round. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll be calling upon the first speaker from the social sciences for the rebuttal round that will last for 1 minute, which is no other person than Adebayo Abdurrahman.
Oh yeah, bust down, beside, I'm a logo down.
Wow, what a performance, Faculty of Arts. You've played right into my trap. First, you argue that developing countries will imitate developed countries. But again, that shows your poor research on the subject matter of today's debate. Because if you say that, what would we say when Barack Obama, in his list of music listening to in 2023, listed two different Afrobeat singers? That's Barack Obama, a former president of the United States, listening to music exported from Nigeria in developing countries. Again, listening. Secondly, you argue that globalization increases rate of dependency. The problem with the argument is that, again, you research poorly. Because the difference between dependency and interdependence is that why you, as student of the Faculty of Arts, are dependent on your lecturers like Uncle Demola for lessons. Lecturers like Uncle Demola and Dr. Teller are mutually interdependent between themselves. So what that means is that what globalization really does is that it makes countries in the international system interdependent on themselves. And like we already said, this serves as a conduit for us to have peace in the global order. Thirdly, you argue that globalization leads to detachment from cultural identity. But again, that's you making assumption based on your view. Because even though you may be detached from your cultural identity, I'm not. Because yesterday night, my babe called me. She did not call me Adebayo. She did not call me Abdama. She said Atonda Omo Ojoloko Agbadu. I'm still related to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Abdurrahman. Okay, so in reiteration, speakers, it is just 1 minute. If you spend more than 1 minute, you're automatically deducting your marks. Thank you. So we'll be calling upon audience. Are we here? Thank you. So we'll be calling upon the second speaker from the Faculty of Arts for the rebuttal round, which is no other person than Adigun Mary Bokola.
If this were primary school debate, I would have applauded my opponents. But seeing that it is not, let's show them how to make good logics. They came here listing the many benefits of globalization, but they are literally making our points for us. Because whether or not the spread of globalization is seen as positive or negative, it doesn't take away the fact that cultural erosion has occurred. And in fact, they even agreed with us. Also, that cultures can come together without losing their elements. However, it failed to address how exactly we can rule out assimilation and homogenization during cultural integration. Now, they also argued for economic growth. However, today's debate asks if globalization is a worthy cause at the risk of erosion. But what they have come to prove is economic growth is good enough reason despite the erosion of our culture. Audience, they're not asking about something that is far off. They're asking about you, your identity, what makes you you, your uniqueness, and what makes you everything that you stand for. They also argued, by the way, that it is about collaboration between countries. But what they have to understand is about how much a country can give to another country. At the end of the day, it's not proportional. But since they love to learn a lot, maybe you should make social sciences a department in the faculty of art. Then you can truly learn.
Wow, that was intense. That was intense. If you are from the Faculty of Art, make some noise. Thank you.
It's okay.
All right. Thank you, DJ Utmost. All right, for the category you've been waiting for. We have the Faculty of Technology versus the Faculty of Law. Are you ready? Are you ready? And the topic is, does formal education prepare students adequately for the workforce in Africa? I go again. Does formal education prepare students adequately for the workforce in Africa? The Faculty of Technology is speaking for the topic, while the Faculty of Law is against that topic. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as I bring forward the first speaker from the Faculty of Technology, none other than Olatunji Vincent Olabisi.
Make me harder, make me lose my breath, make me water, make me sweat, make me harder, make me.
Modernization, chicken for money pressure, street orientation. Modernization, for money pressure.
Let me tell you a story, a very profound story of one single mother working 2 jobs to raise 3 children. These jobs pay their bills, feeds them, send the kids to school, and frankly, it can't do much after that. Now, some people may say that this mother has not provided the best care for her kids, but what she has done is adequate, because adequate, according to the Oxford Learner's Dictionary, is not to be the best, but simply to be enough. Judges, ladies and gentlemen, versions of this story are not strange to us. It's my story. It's your story. In fact, it's my opponent's story, because the last I checked, none of our parents are the richest in the world, and our judges are these parents. However, can we say that in spite of their shortcomings, our parents have not done enough? No, we can't say that. So today I put it to you that I agree that our classrooms are overcrowded. I agree that some of the curriculum may be outdated. In fact, I agree with every shortcomings my opponents may mention today, which we have good refutations for. However, and in spite of these shortcomings, formal education is doing enough to prepare students for the workforce in Africa. And I'll prove this using the modalities of today's debate. But first, I think we can all agree that with this beautiful introduction, formal education gets a 10 in persuasion. Now, let's move on to content and structure. Formal education, according to the European Youth Foundation, refers to the structured education that runs from nursery through tertiary institutions. In this light, a 2019 report by Harvard's Graduate School of Education shows that formal education extends beyond the classroom to the informal interactions that occur as a result of this organized structure. This report also states that these informal interactions improve critical thinking, which in turn improve a student's awareness. So, within this structure, students are aware of the shortcomings of the formal education system. They are aware of the workforce requirements. They are also aware of the right connections to get these required skills. In other words, what formal education lacks in content, it makes up for it in structure and organization. It's not the best, but it is enough. And with that, formal education gets a strong 7 out of 10 for structure. And in content, let's say 20 out of 30. Now, let's move on to delivery. According to the 2023 Times Higher Education Ranking, 142 of the top 1,000 universities are in Africa. That's a 29% increase from what it was in 2018. Also, according to the 2023 Webometrics ranking, 543 of the top 1,000 research-focused universities are also in Africa. That is more than half. This means that in spite of the shortcomings, formal education in Africa is using lemons to make lemonades. It is using overcrowded classrooms to teach students how to use limited resources. It is using outdated equipment to teach students adaptation skills. It is also using frequent blackouts before a major exam to teach students how to cope well under pressure. These are core workforce skills. And with that, formal education gets a good 15 out of 20 for good delivery. Now, let's move on to refutation. My opponents may argue that there is a skill gap because the degrees we graduate with and the degrees the workforce requires are not the same. And to that, I agree. However, this skill gap is evident in the United States. According to a 2020 report by the World Economic Forum, this skill gap exists in Europe. According to a 2020 report by the European Commission, this skill gap also exists in Asian countries like China, South Korea, and India, according to a 2020 report by the McKinsey Global Institute. So except my opponents are saying that formal education is inadequate everywhere in the world, please let them know that that point only gets point for being pointless. So the logic is very simple. Our formal education is not the best, but it is enough to prepare students for the workforce. My opponent's logic is that it is inadequate. So what they are saying is that I am inadequate. You are inadequate. Even they are inadequate. And our lecturers that are trying their very best are still inadequate. That logic can only be inadequate. But from my logic, if you see it from the beginning of my speech, logic gets a solid 9 out of 10. Again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we add all these scores together, it gives us a total of 71. Is this perfect? No. Is it enough? Yes. So I've shown you that formal education is enough in persuasion, content, structure, delivery, logic, and refutation. I'll give my opponents the 5 marks for dressing because even I have to admit that their suits are very fine. But there is one thing still left, time management. Thank you.
Hey! That was intense.
Faculty of Technology, have you won? One house, kulu kulu. Faculty of Law. Faculty of Law.
Hello.
Faculty of Law, are you in the building?
Yeah.
All right. To be representing the first, to be representing the Supreme Faculty of Law this evening, please make welcome the first speaker of the Faculty of Law, none other than Favorable Victor.
Approximately 2,000 years ago, the newly born baby Jesus received gifts from 3 wise men. Now, I might be just one wise man today, but I'll be giving out 4 gifts to help you reach the only logical conclusion in today's debate. First, I give you the gift of clarity. Clarity on the most fundamental term in today's debate, formal education. In their much-cited 1974 paper, Coates and Ahmed defined formal education as the institutionalized, chronologically graded and hierarchically structured system from lower primary school to the upper reaches of the university. Now, those are a lot of words, but all they imply is that formal education is curriculum-based education that occurs within the 4 walls of a school. Now, as you hold on tight to the gift of clarity, I give you the gift of discernment. Discernment so you can recognize what today's debate is about and what it is not. You see, my opponents will likely come here today to tell you that our stance in today's debate is hypocritical because we undergo 5 years of formal education in order to qualify as lawyers. But if they come and say this, then they've completely missed the point. Intelligent audience, we are not here to argue that formal education is useless or even irrelevant. In fact, we acknowledge its usefulness. All we are saying is that formal education is inadequate and therefore requires supplementation. The Faculty of Technology understands this, which is why after 4 years of formal education, they send their students out for IT so that they can also acquire work-based education. So you see, unlike my opponents here today, even their faculty understands that a thing may be useful and yet be inadequate. But why is formal education inadequate for preparing students for the African workforce? To understand that, I give you the gift of insight. Insight into the unique structure of the African workforce. According to the International Labour Organization, 83% of all employment in Africa is informal. Now, what that means is that while you and I might be currently undergoing formal education, the economic reality of Africa is that many of us will still end up in the informal sector. But here's the problem. Formal education is not designed to prepare students for jobs in the informal sector. According to a paper titled Education and Employment in the Informal Sector by Everett Geber, jobs in the informal sector require practical skills that typically have to be acquired through non-formal education like traditional apprenticeship. So while I might be studying law for 5 years, Uche, who wants to become a spare part trader, has to undergo a 5-year apprenticeship program. Now imagine if I dabble into spare part trading without adequately supplementing my formal education. You all will agree with me that the only thing I will be able to trade is my joy for pain. So the question is simple. If formal education fails to prepare students for the informal sector, which employs more than 80% of the African workforce, can you then say formal education adequately prepares students for the African workforce? At this point, if you still don't have the answer to today's debate, then you require another gift. I give you the gift of deeper understanding. A deeper understanding of the inadequacy of formal education. We've already established that formal education is inadequate to prepare students for the informal sector. But what if I also told you that formal education is also inadequate to prepare students for the formal sector? In a 2015 survey conducted by the World Economic Forum, more than 50% of formal employers in sub-Saharan Africa stated that the available workforce lacked the relevant skills for their industries. But this is hardly surprising, thanks to challenges like outdated curricula, archaic teaching methods and lack of practical training. Schools in Africa continue to churn out graduates who are not job ready according to the United Nations in 2022. And this problem is only set to get worse because while my opponents from the Faculty of Tech continue to use wooden equipment to do technical drawing, the skills required by the formal sector continue to evolve at a rapid pace. So you see, it's like chasing an ever-moving target, but formal education just can't seem to keep up. Even we, the students, understand this. This is why we join various societies to update our knowledge. So the proactive students of law join the Intellectual Property Law Club, The proactive students of economics join the student finance club, and even the proactive students of tech join the students developers club, because we all understand that our formal education is inadequate and therefore requires supplementation. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, just as I have promised, with the 4 gifts I have given today, the logical conclusion in today's debate has become crystal clear. We've established that as part of the workforce in Africa, you are either employed in the formal sector or the informal sector. Now, does formal education adequately prepare students for the formal sector? No. Does formal education adequately prepare students for the informal sector? No. Can we then say it adequately prepares students for the African workforce? No. Ladies and gentlemen, this debate is already over. But before I take my leave, I have a final gift for my opponents. To you, I give the gift of rest. Go home to your families. You are dismissed from Jawwar.
Quick one. Which faculty do you think has won this round? Faculty of...
Just the play. You see, say, you just the play.
All right. Moving on to the second speakers between both faculties, representing the Faculty of Technology. Please make welcome the second speaker from the Faculty of Tech, the man, the myth, the legend. Make welcome Michael Barnabas.
As you can see, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us play a game of cards today. And for each card these lawyers play, the Faculty of Technology will check. Now first, these lawyers might play their first card by arguing that formal education is inadequate to prepare students for the workforce in Africa, because these students still have to go the extra mile to develop the necessary skills on their own. But tell the Faculty of Law, hold on. Because in 2021, the Global Association of American and Colleges University stated that they interviewed over 30,000 global graduates, and it was discovered that the students who went beyond the classroom to engage in critical skills and self-development training had 20% higher salaries, 15% higher job satisfaction, and faster career advancement than the students who didn't do such projects. The point is simple. Formal education gives students equal chances to run the race, but personal development is that extra factor that empowers some students to run faster than others. You see, to get ahead in life, you must do something extra. And employers know this, employees know this, even students know this, including these lawyers, which is why they are here speaking today. Else they would have been busy facing their books. But they understand this principle. So instead of them to support this, they are busy trying to twist the evidence, which is what they do. But it won't work today, because that first card, checked. Now two, my opponents might still argue that formal education is inadequate in Africa because it doesn't foster entrepreneurship among students. But we have two rebuttal cards in this game. So dear lawyers, pick two. First, according to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, the entrepreneurship rate in Nigeria increased from 18 to 42% over the last decade. And in Ghana, it increased by over 40% in the past 5 years. And this is a similar trend in other institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, did you even know that another study by the African Development Bank study showed that businesses which were run by individuals who received formal education were 3 times more likely to survive beyond 5 years, which shows that formal education is empowering people to start businesses that end up surviving for long, which makes formal education adequate. So lawyers, please rest, because your second card checked. Now, the lawyers might still bring another argument by saying that tech advancement in African institutions doesn't measure up to the advancement in the African workforce. But we can easily suspend that argument with the 2018 Global McKinsey Institute report, which shows that tech growth in Africa is 20% lower than the global growth in other countries like Europe. And formal education can still keep up with this growth. Because South Africa is the tech giant of Africa, yet only 28% of South African jobs have tech integrations like AI and tech automations, which shows that there is still plenty of room in the African workforce for people without tech integrations to survive. And as long as this workforce majority still face this ugly reality, it still shows that formal education maintains its adequacy. So Faculty of Law, there is nothing for you today. And even if we don't use our last card in the refutations and in the rebuttal round as well, it still won't make a difference, because the Faculty of Law, all your cards today have been checked from the Faculty of Technology. My name is Michael Barnabas.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for the second speaker from the Faculty of Tech. Moving on, we'd like to bring forward the second speaker from the Supreme Faculty of Law. Please make welcome Egwaje Joy.
Listen up, ladies and gentlemen. The Collins Dictionary describes refutation as proving a thing to be false, fake, and fallacious using solid evidence. In the next 3 minutes, you will watch me bring down all my opponent's arguments and show them to be nothing short of false, fake, and fallacious. Now, let's begin. First, you must understand, esteemed audience, that according to the OECD.org, there are different forms of education. There is the formal education, which is done within the four walls of the school. There is informal education, which occurs when we learn and pick up skills unconsciously. And there is the non-formal education, which includes apprenticeships and internships, and other forms of work-based education. Now, my opponent might have come here to say that education, formal education, is the only way to achieve competence in professions such as law and medicine. But they'll be wrong, because formal education does not guarantee competence in this. We cannot say that it's only because of the knowledge of a particular part that professionals are able to scale through. We do not trust professionals simply because they have taken formal education and tests in their schools. Rather, we trust them also because we believe that at the very least, they would have developed practical skills through other work-based education, such as internships and housemanships. So you see, if the opponent come here with that point today, know that it is nothing short of false, fake, and fallacious. Furthermore, my opponent may have argued that formal education is the only way to develop Africa's workforce. But that argument in itself is fallacious because it is based on the false assumption that formal education is the only way to develop workforce. In an article titled Education and Development, it was stated that formal education rarely adds a positive impact to Africa's workforce because it is molded after the realities of the Western world. It is because formal education is unsuitable to African realities that you have students from the Faculty of Tech still writing computer codes on paper. It is because of that you have student technicians who know nothing about technical writing. In fact, it is even that we have electrical engineering students who can barely fix a light bulb. So you see, if my opponents still come here and maintain their stance, please let them know that it is nothing short of false, fake, and fallacious. Now, you must understand that we are yet to interrogate if formal education prepares the workforce in Africa. That is, does it make them employable? You see, according to the Future African Forum, it was stated that many African students lack employability skills due to lack of soft skills. Now we are saying that formal education is able to give that soft skill. But here's the thing. You can have a knowledge in advanced mathematics, but still fail at the soft skill of teamwork, which can only be acquired by informal and non-formal education.
20 seconds.
That is why we have graduates who are certified but not qualified. So if my opponents come here with that point, please let them know that it is false, fake, and fallacious. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I have shown you the falseness, the fakeness, and the fallacy in my opponent's argument. So this is something that you will do for me. If they come here today, please shout these words on the top of your voice. False, fake, and fallacious. Thank you.
Faculty of Law, make some noise. But wait. Electrical engineering students, was that true? Is that true? So you can fix a bulb? They are not sure.
Fallacious. Okay. So as we all know the drill. They'll be preparing now for the rebuttal round. So we'll be giving them some seconds to prepare for their rebuttal round. DJ. And also speakers. Have this at the back of your mind. You have just 1 minute for your rebuttal round.
Skibo.
Feels Mr. Producer.
Running, catching your excellency, too much stuff unnecessary. Force a legendary, force it our cemetery. Shot it, try, see, baby, Munda Gororu. Find the body, you do the back, baby, Sunday, Tago. Cause trouble, keep on running, cause trouble. Find the body,
And I get who you are, more diamond. More fast, I see more diamond. I want them to cover me, more diamond. They go sorry, be more diamond. Everywhere I go, never go. Kingston, New York City, never go. LA, Las Vegas, never go. Everywhere I land, they go shout, they must be.
Tiny entertainment, baby.
Let us sing music. Let us sing music. The music is my favorite.
Why sing? What's you want to speak? You wanna want sing? Why sing?
I'm a beast. And don't forget to love again. It's the remix right here and allow me there.
Niggas smelling nice, that Paco Rapani. I'm on what's in my pay, I'm on your Rapani. Why see? That don't want to lie, way that I be balling. No more woman, pay me chaka.
Thank you, DJ. Our speakers, are we ready? Faculty of Technology, are we ready? So right about now, we'll be calling upon the second speaker from the Faculty of Technology for the rebuttal round, which is no other person than
Michael Barnabas.
Alcohol in her.
1 minute.
Better hit the deck like the car dealer. My whole squad's in here walking around the party. A cross between a zombie apocalypse and Bobby. Brain healing, which is probably the same reason I wrestle with mania JVs and this bitch I'm posse up. Consider it to cost me a costly mistake if they sleeping on me.
Now, my opponents made a fundamental mistake in their definition of formal education. According to the European Youth Foundation, formal education refers to the structured education system that runs from primary and in some countries nursery school to university, and it includes specialized programs for vocational, technical, and professional training. So when students do internships, that is part of formal education. And in fact, it includes the informal networks. We already established that formal education includes the informal interactions that take place within that organized structure. So study groups and even the IPTLC and tax club that my opponents belong to is still made available due to formal education. So that point cancelled. Then I came to say that we will come and say that formal education is the only way to develop core skills. Faculty of Technology knows logic. We are smarter than that. They still came to say that there is a skill gap, but we have already established, ladies and gentlemen, that this skill gap exists in the United States. It exists in Europe. It even exists in Asia. So unless my opponents are saying that if US, Europe, and Asia, which are the core educational bodies in the world, have a skill gap issue, why are they so hard on Africa that has it? Please, that point, rest. I think at this point we can all agree, ladies and gentlemen, that if Jawwar was a hotel, call us your receptionist, because where the Faculty of Law met us, they checked out.
Faculty of Tech did not come here to play at all.
Faculty of Tech, make some noise!
So you guys are here.
Wow.
So you are here. Okay, quick one. We'll be calling upon the
Second speaker from the Faculty of Law.
The Supreme Faculty.
Please make welcome the second speaker from the Faculty of Law, none other than Iguache Joy.
Ladies and gentlemen, my opponents have said that formal education doesn't have to be the best, it just has to be enough. But if the students are unable to get jobs after this formal education, then it has failed to prepare them for the African workforce, and that is the topic of today's debate. So you see, that point has failed due to error 419, false, fake, and fallacious. Also, my opponents have come here to appeal to our emotions. They have admitted that formal education is not adequate. They have admitted that it's inadequate. Then they said that the skill gap in other regions is invalid because the debate is only... Ladies and gentlemen, the debate of today is only concerned about the workforce in Africa. So you should stick to that topic. And as you have failed to show that, error 419, false, fake, and fallacious. My opponents have also claimed that the falls of formal education is just meant for character development. That when we pass through these sufferings, we can develop character. But what is the character development when most students are even unemployed after this formal education? So you see, that point has failed due to error 419. False, fake, and fallacious. Faculty of Tech, content, 0. Not 0. Zero. Delivery, 0. So now, you can go.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday. I know my kingdom awaits, and they've forgiven my mistake. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world.
Thank you. Please give it up for the Faculty of Technology and the Faculty of Law. That was a very intense round. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to proceed to the hottest parts of tonight's tournament. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, so before we get to the all category, so we would love to let you know something. So Jawwar wants to do something nice for you. Yes, we know that we just concluded Valentine, February 14. So this is Jawwar reaching out to you. And showing you some love. Do you love Jawwar? Do you love TLDS? Thank you. If you don't love us, you won't be here. So right about now, there is one Jawwar shirt. That will be going out today as a giveaway. I know you've been seeing the Jawwar shirt around, and I know you like it. So in order to win this Jawwar shirt, you will go to our social media platforms. We have Twitter, which is known as X, at Jawwar_UI. And also our IG handle, Jawwar_UI. You follow Jawwar, and as well as tweet something on Twitter and get the highest engagement. As long as you are with the highest engagement, that is the highest likes and the highest follows for your post, you'll be able to win the Jawwar shirt. Please, can you show the shirt? See, it's looking so nice. Black is beautiful. So be the lucky winner of this shirt. All you have to do is go to Jawwar across the social media platforms, Twitter and Instagram. Follow Jawwar, tweet something, tag Jawwar, and have the highest engagement. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll be moving on to the all category. Make some noise. Opening this round is no other all. Can you read out the all?
For this round, we're having the great Obafemi Awolowo all.
Okay.
Against the great man of Ransom Kuti.
Oh, okay. You people are here.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
They'll be speaking on universal basic income, a solution to income inequality in Africa. I go again. Universal basic income, a solution to income inequality in Africa.
The Obafemi Awolowo will be speaking for, while the Ransom Kuti will be speaking against the topic. Calling upon the first speaker from the Obafemi Awolowo, the Amazonians of the University of Ibadan, please make welcome Akinlawo. Good luck.
Isn't the best place to find the lovers at the bar is where I go. Me and my friends sat at the table doing shots, tripping fast, and then we talk slow.
Ladies and gentlemen, something interesting happened last Saturday. The defending champions of the German Bundesliga title, the almighty Bayern Munich, was severely thrashed 3-0 by Bayern Leverkusen. Now, if you unfortunately missed that match, don't feel bad, because tonight, history is about to repeat itself. So without further ado, let's kick this match off. Investopedia defines Universal Basic Income, UBI, as a government program in which every adult citizen gets a set amount of money regularly. According to this same source, income inequality refers to how income is unevenly distributed throughout a population. So today's debate is simply asking whether or not UBI is a possible tool for redistributing income. Now, in the same way Bayern Munich their fate was sealed with 3 goals, let's seal my opponent's fate in this debate with 3 solid goals. Goal 1, poverty reduction. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the driving forces of income inequality in Africa is extreme poverty. In 2023, Statista.com revealed that over 431 million Africans were living below poverty line. For context, 4 out of every 10 Africans were living in abject poverty. Judges, UBI mitigates this issue by providing people with basic income needed to meet essential needs, such as feeding and clothing. My opponents may argue that this may set the stage for inflation due to increase in money flow. But let them know that factors such as heavy dependence on importation, political instability, and varying economic dynamics are the reasons why African nations are more susceptible to inflation than others. Goal 2, economic stimulation. Ladies and gentlemen, another significant cause for income inequality in Africa is bad economy. According to the United Nations Department of Social and Economic Affairs, an economy is bad when there are high interest rates, low consumer demand, and low production rates, which are common features in most African economies. Judges, the injection of funds into our economy through UBI mitigates this issue through an increase in economic activity. In fact, data from a study conducted by Give Directly, the world's largest test on basic income, supports this notion. This study provided over 6,000 people in rural Kenya with a little over $20 a month from 2016, aiming to 2028. And the results so far showed that these people who were previously dependent on wage work were able to save and start their own businesses, leading to a decrease in competition for wage work and an overall increase in purchasing power within these villages. Goal 3, social cohesion. Ladies and gentlemen, in a 2023 article titled Universal Basic Income, Benefits and Challenges, it was clearly stated that introducing UBI reduces the potential for social unrest. It's quite simple. A guaranteed income will shield people from the stink of harsh policies, thereby reducing the potential of experiencing public disorder. So what this means is that with UBI, there will be less need for you and I to carry placards to protest the harsh consequences of fuel subsidy removal, or for our mothers to flood the streets of Lagos to protest the increase in food prices. In short, UBI provides a safety net for vulnerable people in difficult times. Now, audience, in desperation to win last Saturday's match, All that Bayern Munich had to their name was 1 point off target and 1 offside shot. In a crazy twist of fate, my opponents will also mount this stage to give us 1 offside point and 1 point off target. But let us head to the VAR booth to determine their verdict. 1. They will claim that UBI contradicts its stance on universality simply because rich people are not the main target. They will tell us sad tales of how taxes from the rich would even be used to finance UBI. But what they will confidently fail to mention is that the aim of UBI and income inequality is income redistribution, ensuring that money is not concentrated in the hands of a few, as stated in a 2022 article titled A Quantitative Evaluation of Universal Basic Income. So for that point, the verdict is offside. 2, they would also claim that the importation of UBI would discourage people from seeking employment, thereby impacting the labor market. But what they fail to realize is that the aim of UBI is to provide for the basic need of people, not their entire need. It is therefore illogical to assume that people will give up on getting jobs simply because of a periodic stipend that they get. So again, for that point, the verdict is offside. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I have successfully shown you how UBI is a solid goal for Africa in the fight against income inequality. But if my opponent still chooses to mount counterattacks against this viable tool, then let it be known that even the legendary Stanley Nwabali will not be able to save them from their eventual defeat.
What is this magic? I need that magic.
That's the feeling. Go come online and a Coca-Cola die. Want you to go?
Thank you, DJ. Thank you. Amazonians in the building, make some noise for your first speaker. So I'll be calling upon the first speaker from the Great Ransom Kuti Hall, which is no other person than Ayo Salako Rebot.
I will go the music, empty barrel, human body.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's debate. Today's debate is about the separation of fact from fiction by observing ethos such as objectivity, critical thinking, and thorough research. So allow me to solve the problem of my opponent's ignorance with 3 basic reasons. Please follow me. The first reason, the subject matter. According to Investopedia, the Universal Basic Income is a government program in which all adult citizens receive a set amount of income regularly. For clarity, all adult citizens in a society are entitled to regular cash transfers from the government, irrespective of their conditions. So whether it is the honorable minister or it is the pepper seller, everybody is entitled as long as they are citizens. Today's debate is not about whether UBI is good or bad, but simply asks us if it is a solution to income inequality in Africa, which brings us to the first problem. How can something be termed a solution to income inequality when the entire basis of the program is to give the same amount of money to everybody, including those who need it and those who do not? For instance, if everybody in this room was given the same amount of money, even if the poor became rich, the rich would still be far richer. According to the paper by the Development Aid on the 28th of August 2023, it was stated that although UBI can offer some form of financial assistance, it cannot address the problem of income inequality on the national scale. The facts are clear. I'm surprised that my opponent came to argue that UBI can aid poverty alleviation, because the bone of contention in today's debate is not poverty alleviation, but income inequality, which according to Investopedia is an imbalance in the distribution of wealth across a society. But let's even for a moment pretend it was about poverty alleviation. alleviation. The International Labour Organization already posited that poverty cannot be solved through income transfers alone, as better and far-paying jobs would effectively accomplish that goal. So we are not debating adding UBI to other programs and conditions to make it effective. UBI is strictly the unconditional transfer of income to every individual in the society. So any other point by my opponents is outside the scope of today's debate and should not have escaped the walls of Obafemi Awolowo Hall. The second reason, UBI is not a solution. Britannica defines a solution as something that is used or done to deal with and end a problem. The Cambridge Dictionary defines a solution as the answer to a problem. So we are not talking about a temporary or a partial solution. The question simply is, when UBI is administered, will it eventually solve the problem of income inequality in Africa? No. The facts are clear. The United Nations report stated that the drivers of income inequality in Africa are lack of better paying jobs, lack of access to quality education, technological illiteracy, etc. So by handing out cash to everybody in the society, you are not addressing any of the root causes of income inequality. It's like taking a snail to the gym. It cannot work out. Think about it. Handouts don't build economies. They only create dependencies. But according to my opponent, you can bridge the gap between the rich and the poor by giving out cash to people who can choose to do nothing at all. At this point, the only gap that needs bridging is that between my opponent's speech and logical thinking. Third reason, it is a cycle without change. According to a paper titled Universal Basic Income and Inflation by John S. Ziller in June 2021, it was stated that universal basic income would eventually lead to inflation, as everybody in the society will be given the same amount of income, leading to an increase in aggregate demand. This was supported by the Foundation of Economic Education, which stated that if UBI is implemented, it will lead to an increase in foundation, inflammation, if not at the micro level, then at the macro level. The facts, ladies and gentlemen, are clear. If UBI is administered, the prices of goods and services will increase, thereby stripping people of the original purchasing power that they were granted. Therefore, everybody goes back to square zero. So, if my opponents are advocating for this kind of change, despite the fact that facts and precedents have already shown that when UBI is administered, it is not a solution to income inequality, then it is sad that despite the great heights in our hall, my opponents cannot see the ground of reality. In conclusion, I have shown through thorough research and logic that although UBI seems to be good on paper, it cannot solve the problem of income inequality. Therefore, in today's debate, it is only an illusion that breeds delusion and is declared an outright rejection.
Thank you, DJ. Okay, thank you. You know that it's not by noise. Amazonians in the building, make some noise as I call upon the second speaker, which is no other person than Obishesan Adewumi.
Young Mula Basic. I wasn't born last night. I know these hoes ain't right. But you was going up my phone last night, but she ain't have a ring or not her ring on last night. Oh. These hoes ain't loyal. These hoes ain't loyal.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of Reverend Israel Oludoto Ransom Kuti, an educationist and founding president of the Nigeria Union of Teachers, let us have a moment of silence. But wait, what use is this gesture of respect when my opponents have not upheld his legacy? They, who identify with this great educationist, have come here with uneducated points.
today with 2 basic lessons. I would educate my opponents on why universal basic income, UBI, is a solution to income inequalities in Africa. Kutites, start taking notes. The first lesson, administrative efficiency. UBI brings about efficiency by ensuring that everyone who needs help gets it. Judges, many welfare programs carry out means tests to determine who is eligible to receive payment, oftentimes disqualifying the middle class. According to a 2013 paper by The Guardian, these neither rich nor poor people are excluded because there's usually a cutoff point. Now, this is a major problem because the middle class is fast disappearing in Africa as these individuals are falling into financial destitution. This is why, even though we do not sleep on the streets of Agbowo, we still beg UI to open the school fees portal a week before exams. Receiving an unconditional income, no matter how little, will reduce the financial strain that people face in getting basic necessities. Kutites, keep taking notes. The second lesson, equal access for everyone, especially people living with disabilities. According to the World Health Organization, about 80 million people in Africa live with some type of disability. These people, because of the lack of inclusivity in workspaces and society in general, cannot easily break from the vicious cycle of poverty and earn significant income. UBI is a solution to income inequality because it is a policy that sees, caters for, and includes people with disabilities. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it gets very dangerous because my opponents will come here to claim that UBI will not work because our governments are corrupt. However, corruption is an institutional problem in Africa and isn't peculiar to any one policy. The risk of corruption exists with every policy implemented, including whatever alternatives my opponents may provide here today. Kutites, I hope you are still taking notes. Audience, my opponents will still come here to claim that UBI fails to tackle the underlying cause of income inequality, poverty. But you see, poverty is a multidimensional problem caused by various factors and cannot be solved by just one policy, no matter how grand or efficient. UBI is only one of the tools that can be used in collaboration with other policies to solve poverty. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the Obafemi Awolowo Hall has fulfilled the wish of Reverend Oludoto in the lives of my opponents by educating and enlightening them with 2 basic lessons. If they need extra lessons, let them come for a bottle round.
Thank you, DJ Opos. Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for the last speaker. Put your hands together. Put your hands together. So right about now, I'll be calling upon the second speaker. But before the second speaker from the Ransom Kutio, but before I call upon the second speaker, I would love for us to pay attention to this. While a speaker is speaking, dear audience, please pay attention to them. Don't make noise. Don't distract them. And if you feel like they are stuttering or something, please be patient with them. Thank you so much.
Kokoma, I stand by. I DBC Kunga. Oh, my baby. I stand by. I DBC
DJ Opmos, I'm the one in charge here. No, don't do that. No. So I'm going to be calling upon the second speaker from the Great Ransom Kutiol. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Morakio Temidayo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Chapel of Truth. I, your humble bishop, will be making use of the next 3 minutes to dish out deep words of wisdom on why the universal basic income isn't a solution to income inequality in Africa. Precept upon precept, line upon line, I'll be building my argument on the solid ground of logic, all underground, sinking sand. Precept 1, Precept 1, costs. Britannica defines solution as something that brings an end to a problem. In other words, for something to be called a solution, it must have the ability to ameliorate a problem and not create another one. The implementation of UBI in Africa will only plunge many African countries into more debt. Ask me how. According to Statista.com, as of 2021, the public national debt of African countries reached a whopping sum of, wait for it, $726.55 billion. Also, according to the World Bank, 27 out of 51 countries in Africa were classified as low-income economies. So you see that the implementation of UBI in Africa will only serve as a catalyst for more problems, rather than ameliorating the existing problem. Audience, my opponents will come here and argue that UBI funds are gotten from donations and charity, and as such, it won't affect the economy. However, this makes us to question the sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, according to an article published by the Finance Times in 2018, one major reason why UBI has failed in various countries is as a result of the lack of the inherent sustainability. On this ground of logic, I have made my point. All other ground, sinking sound. Precept 2, the African state. Audience, my opponent will come here and paint a picture of how every citizen deserves a chair in the country's wealth, and also how UBI is a solution in itself. This might sound logical, but the subject of today's debate revolves around Africa, and this in itself is a rebuttal. Furthermore, Africa is plagued with various countries, ranging from weak institutions to corrupt leaders, amongst many other vices. These are reasons why UBI can't solve the problems of inequality in Africa. According to an article published by the Premier Times in 2018, 2 African former humanitarian ministers decided to mismanage the funds that were set for intervention funds. Ladies and gentlemen, also, during the COVID-19 era, countries like Kenya and South Africa decided to roll out funds to their citizens to help them during the COVID-19 era. Guess what? These funds were mismanaged by the public officials. Audience, my opponents will come here and cite examples of UBI trials in various countries. But guess what? None of these trials have been done on a large scale, according to an article published by the Premium Times in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya and Finland decided to make use of these UBI trials. But guess what? It was done on a small scale. And in the end, in the space of 2 years, this initiative died. Ladies and gentlemen, by this same source, it was concluded that UBI can solve the problem of income inequality. On this solid ground of logic, I have proved my point. All other ground, sinking sand. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, if after this point my opponents still do not understand, then the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with them as they leave this location and come back next year. The house says amen.
That was indeed an intense round. Please put your hands together for our speakers. Thank you. So we already know the drill. We'll be giving them a few seconds for them to cook up their rebuttal, as they would be going for the rebuttal round for just 1 minute.
Seconds like two pass, waiting be no compass. Fly you around the world, Maldives and Santorini. Why you find Versace? I love you, you're my key. Even if now I'm granted, I will still love you, my one day. Follow bomba to bomba, I could be your defender. When I lose my breath, baby, would you be my healer? Too many things I don't realize. When I'm with you, I live fantasize. Would you be my only lover? When I'm with you, I'm alive. You know I like Babu. What is it on me like this? Even if not taboo, I still want to see you. Oh my Cinderella, signal.
Carry all my money, make you carry me go Sambisa. If I touch your body, make you touch under my short nigga. And girl, your love don't play me, I don't be like Papa Frio.
If I promise I show you go carry I am right. Carry me go where I don't know. Isakaba, give me your bagasi, your body looking like tsunami. Close if you don't ship Nagasaki. Plenty of market, don't make me miscalculate. Don't make me overdo. Don't make me the misbehave. It with that 12. You don't make a man go. Nah.
Thank you, DJ Upmost. Thank you. So now we'll be calling upon the second speaker from the Obafemi Awolowo Hall for the rebuttal round, which will only last for 1 minute. No other person that will be Sheson Adewumi.
Automatic, cause you traffic, you know I did my lane. I'm classy, Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like my opponents need extra lessons. They have called and we have answered. They said that that UBI gives the same amount to both the rich and the poor. However, the rich pay more in taxes than they can ever receive in UBI. They also said that UBI is not a policy that addresses poverty, but income inequality. However, my first speaker already said that poverty is a leading cause of income inequality, and UBI solved this. They also said that UBI is not a solution if it creates more problems. However, UBI is only short term. Besides, we said that UBI is a solution and not the only solution. They also said that the rich get poorer and the rich gets richer and the poor get poorer through UBI. However, UBI does not aim to make me like Dangote. It only allows me enough to eat and clothes to wear. They also said that Kenya UBI was discontinued after 2 years. But that's not true. Because according to sources like Give Directly and NPR, UBI is still ongoing in Kenya. They also said that UBI is costly and cannot be afforded by many African states. However, the cost of UBI is borne through taxes, which the rich pay more of. Kutais, you have a final note, a final lesson. Go back home, read your notes, and come back for next year's Jawwar.
They don't carry me the go way I don't know. They don't carry me the go way I don't know. They don't carry me the go way I don't know. I feel this vibration right in my head.
Okay, please clap for the last speaker that just spoke. Give a resounding round of applause. Thank you. Sorry, don't mind me. The eat is hot. The hot is it. Anyhow. So we'll be calling upon the first speaker from Kuti Hall for the rebuttal round, which is no other person than Ayo Salako Robo.
Dear White, did you miss me? Don't worry, I have come again to solve the problem of your ignorance. My opponent spoke about poverty alleviation as one of the core objectives of UBI, but I already said that even poverty cannot be solved by the UBI, according to the International Labour Organization. My opponent also said that give directly, gave directly. But the very definition of UBI, it is that it is a government program. Give directly is a charity organization. Therefore, that is not UBI, but a variant. It should not have escaped the walls of your hall. Lastly, they said in their rebuttal that the rich pay more in taxes than they get in UBI. But it doesn't change the fact that both the rich and the poor get the same amount. As such, the poor have no real advantage. In conclusion, we have seen that UBI is like trying to start a fire with wet matches. It cannot spark any real change. And White, may the grace of the Lord go with you as you come back next year.
My people, for this life, after God, try to fear women. Every day of your life, use 18 hours to fear women. The many hours, use and fear women, fear women. Oh, Blairy, you go to trust woman. You go to trust woman. Woman, you never see anything.
Thank you, thank you.
Better don't jump ahead of yourself. Hey. Better be calming down. Kulu kulu. Kulu kulu. So right about now, we are done with that round. Please put your hands together for the speakers for that round. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the all category you've all been waiting for. And we have the Alexander Brown or...
Okay, I love the support.
Let's go.
Okay.
Going up against the great Nnamdi Azikiwe. Thank you, thank you.
You know it's not by noise. You know it's not by noise.
All right, and the topic they'll be debating on tonight is, should corporate responsibility be a legal requirement for operation?
In reiteration, I'm saying, should corporate responsibility be a legal requirement for operation? Calling upon the first speaker from the Alexander Brown Hall. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Olu Adebola Folusha. Say my name.
Super. What do you do?
Today's debate is asking if corporate social responsibility should be made a legal requirement for corporations or not. Before we proceed, let us quickly understand some important terms in the topic. The Oxford Dictionary defines a corporation as a large company or group of companies that are controlled together as a single organization. The law inside that dictionary defines to be legally required as to be considered necessary under the law or collective bargaining agreement. Investopedia defines corporate social responsibility as a business. Corporate social responsibility. Investopedia defines corporate social responsibility as a business model where companies operate in ways that enhance society and the environment rather than contributing negatively to them. Ladies and gentlemen, a report by Amnesty International revealed that most of the oil spills in Niger Delta are simply preventable and are due to a report in Niger Delta reports that, ladies and gentlemen, a report by Amnesty International reports that most of the oil spills in Niger Delta are preventable and are simply due to spillage by oil companies. Ladies and gentlemen, a report by Amnesty International revealed that ladies and gentlemen, a report by Oil International revealed that most of the oil spillage in companies are audience. Ladies and gentlemen, a report by Oil International, a report by Amnesty International reveals that oil spillage in the Niger Delta are preventable and are simply due to negligence on the part of the company. This has led to reduced air quality. Low crop quality. Zikite. I know this isn't arrow, but the logic is quite easy to follow. These are the ethical standards that we must not go below. Evidently, the solution to this menace is to legally require these corporations to operate in ways that do not allow them to destroy the environment, even while they make money. Audience, CSR should be made a legal requirement for corporations because they ensure. CSR should be made a legal requirement for corporations because they ensure a healthy, non-parasitic relationship between the state and the corporation. American industrialist Henry Ford once said that while it is important for companies to make profit, it is also true that when a company is set up, a social contract is established between the state and the corporation, so that it's because they become interdependent company. This makes sense because for a corporation to thrive in the first place, the state and its corporation must first accept the situation of the country. Judges, my opponents may come here to say that companies already pay taxes and that we are simply asking too much, and then insist that these companies should be left alone in order to maximize profit. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to maximize profit. In order to maximize profits, ladies and gentlemen, moving on. In the Dodge Brothers versus Henry Ford Motor, in the Dodge Brothers versus Henry Ford Motor Company, in the Dodge Brothers versus Henry Ford Motor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, kulu kulu temper. It's not easy to come up the stage and to speak. Please calm down.
Jawwar 2024. Now let's give him audience.
Audience. Corporate social responsibility should be made a legal requirement for corporations because it ensures a healthy, non-parasitic relationship between the state and the corporation. American industrialist Henry Ford once said that while it is important for companies to make profits, it is also true that when a company is set up, there's automatically a social contract between the state and the corporation because they have become interdependent system. This makes sense because for a corporation to thrive in the first place, the state and its people must not accept the business, provide labor, raw materials, and security, amongst other things. Judges, at this point, my opponents may come here to say that companies already pay taxes and that we are simply insisting and asking too much, and then these companies should be left alone in order to maximize profit. But just like the number of times Ziko has won Jawwar, that argument is zero. Now, let us bring the topic down to their level. So, Zikites, pay attention. Bollywood Cafeteria cannot sell food at just any price simply because they want to maximize profits. This is because there's a legal requirement, there's a social responsibility via agreements and contracts with the student affairs division of the school to sell food at agreed prices that has been deemed affordable and reliable to the students. This makes sense. This makes sense. Judges. Audience. Corporations like sports betting companies and alcohol manufacturing companies are already required to take up an ethical form of CSR, such as ensuring that their products are not sold to minors, and then publishing possible measures. Intellectual audience, it will interest you to know that 100 corporations alone are responsible for over 90% of the world total waste, as reported by World Waste Markers Index. Ladies and gentlemen, what the actions of this corporation means is that we will not be able to attain clean water. It's what we will to attain good health and well-being, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, life underwater, life on land, and climate action. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 8 of sustainable development goals that are left unattainable simply because CSR is not legal requirements for companies. So they are left unattainable because CSR is not legal requirements for companies. In conclusion, on this road to ICC, please tell these boys from Azikiwe that they've come a long way, but they've missed the way. And even if they did see way, they still cannot see the way.
Like you don't get talk too much, but talk you don't get talk too talk. Oh boy, you don't get do too much, smart talk you don't get do too talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we all rise as we rise together for
the first speaker?
Zika. Maluba man, you can do better. Hey.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, one house. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, when a speaker is struggling to get a stance, please give them time. Do not clap, do not shout, ah. Just be silent
Thank you.
And in due time, they will get themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on, we have the first speaker from the great Nnamdi Azikiwe Hall. Please make welcome to this side of the stage the first speaker in person of Oyedijo Onlaiwaju.
If they want Goliath, I be David for life. Oluwade Masa.
Ladies and gentlemen, Investopedia defines corporate social responsibility, CSR, as a self-regulating business model that helps a company to be socially responsible to itself, stakeholders, and the public. Keyword, self-regulating. The Cambridge Dictionary defines self-regulating as making certain yourself that you or your employees obey the rules rather than having laws or another organization do it. So, the moment CSR becomes a function of the law, it ceases to be social responsibility. It becomes forced labor. And one of my opponents from their mixed up, when I've tried to mix this up, no, that the Oxford Learner's Dictionary defines should as used to show what is right or appropriate. So today's debate is asking if it is right or appropriate for CSR to be a legal responsibility for corporations. And these rights are wrongs are functions of reasons. I'll show us why this is wrong with 5 reasons. Reason 1, common sense. A person might be terminally ill and begging to die, and private healthcare providers will still reject them because the patient is unprofitable. However, this is still reasonable because despite people need this urgent healthcare, private healthcare providers exist primarily, just like many corporations, to make profit. So, when it might be good for society, for private healthcare providers to treat sick people for free, it does not make it right to force them to do so. Furthermore, when a corporation does bad things like when a corporation does bad things like keep the society and commit fraud, these are crimes under the laws. However, this does not make sense that CSR should be made compulsory. So you see, that common sense exposes that compulsory CSR should not be permitted, and it is inappropriate. Reason 2, environment. Ladies and gentlemen, my opponents might come here to argue that many corporations engage in little to no CSR, and despite contributing to social issues and environmental pollutions. However, let them know that this is not the ABH League, and they should try to stop scoring goalposts by trying to score to our emotions. Because the first ever global assessment law of the environmental law by the United Nations Environmental Protection in 2019 exposes that enforcement is now a global trend that is exacerbating environmental threats, despite prolific environmental laws and agency worldwide over the last 4 decades. It further explains that over the last 4 decades. So you see that the negative impact of corporations is not because CSR is not voluntary. It is because the regulations that exist to protect them are not being enforced. Reason 3, taxation. Ladies and gentlemen, every time a corporation makes a profit, no matter how little it is, it pays a corporate tax to the government. Again, every time the corporation pays dividends to the shareholders, it also pays a dividend tax to the government. Now, making quantifiable CSR a legal requirement will further reduce the shareholders' profits, constituting a third form of taxation. And the worldwide average corporate income taxation is already at a high 23.45%, according to taxfoundation.org. Furthermore, in any country like ours, where there are already many regulations to establish a corporation, compulsory CSR will further discourage the entrepreneur, and cause compulsory CSR does not help the investors, the economy, or even the government. Reason 4, effectiveness. While we might expect compulsory CSR to increase the increase total spending of CSR, we are made to know that it forces a larger number of companies to contribute to CSR-related activities. However, in evaluating compulsory CSR in India, an article published by the Columbia School of Business reviews in an article titled "Should Corporate Social Responsibility Be Mandated?" reviews that qualified companies that engage in voluntary CSR reduce their total CSR spending after the mandation. This is because high-spending companies
reduce the cost of their contribution to the environment in order to make sure that they are able to meet up with the federal minimum. In fact, their total CSR spending reduced by a total of 33% according to by a total of 33% according to Tax Foundation also. So you see that there is no point in making compulsory corporate social responsibility if it reduces the corporation's ability to respond to that responsibility. Reason 5. Numbers. My opponents may also come to argue that CSR should not be a legal requirement because it contributes to. My opponents may also argue that CSR should not be a legal requirement. My opponents may also come here to argue that CSR should not be a legal requirement because for corporations, because most corporations don't do CSR, all the ones that do it don't do enough. But according to the KMSG survey of sustainability information in 2020, 80% of corporations now report on their sustainability. In fact, it further exposes that third-party assurance of sustainability information in corporate reporting is now a major business practice worldwide. So, if CSR is already cultural, why force it? In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, just because my opponent defeated the Amazons does not mean they cannot take on corporations. Compulsory CSR undermines the economic efficiency and infringes on corporate autonomy. Making CSR a legal requirement for corporations is unreasonable. It is wrong and it is inappropriate.
Who never fucked up hands in the air? No hands. Still I can't believe it. You know what I mean? I was young, what you expect from me? Of course I'm fucked up. DJ. Who never fucked up hands in the air? DJ.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, like I previously said, when the speaker is up here struggling, kindly keep quiet. Please welcome with me the second speaker representing the Alexander Brown Hall this evening. Please make welcome Odeleke Sola.
Miracle, no they tire Jesus. To blessing, blessing, no they tire Jesus. He don't do one before, he still they do one again. Child, miracle, no they tire Jesus.
Men lie, women lie, but the facts don't. So let's stick to the facts. My opponents have come here with 1/10 of the story. So I stand here to quickly readdress the confident presentation of misquotations, misinterpretations, and distortion of facts by my opponents. Judges, a 2020 article by The Guardian showed that most of the CSR statements released by many corporations were riddled with unbacked claims, irrelevant data, and inaccurate figures. Evidently, when there is no law to obey or standard to meet, companies can just pretend to be ethical or simply not make any attempt at all. I mean, even the Bible teaches us that it is the law that brings punishment for offenders. For when there is no law, there is no sin. So you see, CSR should be made a legal requirement for corporations because it discourages lip service and ensures that they actually practice it instead of just reporting it. They may also mandate that making CSR legal will reduce total CSR spending by companies. At this point, one would think this is a skit. Because this is like a student claiming that the only reason he's not on the first class is because he only needs 1.0 to remain a UIT. That argument would only make sense if we were all in primary 2 or we were all Zikites. Evidently. Any company that claims that it reduces contribution just because the law sets a minimum benchmark is simply being dishonest. Audience, CSR should be made a legal requirement for corporations because it enhances societal sustainability. according to the Human Rights Watch. The unrest that plagued the Democratic Republic of Congo with armed militant groups resulting to criminal acts is majorly attributed to the fact that indigenes felt cheated and overused by mining companies operating in the region, as they were faced with abject poverty, child labor, and gross violation of their human rights. It is clear that these companies have shown that as long as they have monies in their bank, they simply do not care what happens to the people. So you see, CSR being made legal is not just a case of morality meeting reality, but also a case of societal sustainability being made a priority. They may also come to say that making CSR legal will make it become performative. But that is like arguing that tax payment should not have been made a legal responsibility just because it makes people contribution to nation building become performative. So please, tell these boys from Zik that argument is weak. They may also come to say that companies should have the autonomy to decide if they want to do CSR or not, and then liken CSR to simply doing charity. However, if you are in a position of power and privilege, and you have been mandated by law to not abuse human rights, not pollute the environment, and not extort humans, that is not an act of charity. That is just basic human decency. In conclusion, let's welcome my opponents as they come to dance around the point for the next 3 minutes. Like a man on a treadmill, they will make many moves, but they still won't leave a point. And when they are done, please tell them, rest.
Put your hands together for the second speaker from the Alexander Brown Hall once again. Moving on. Thank you, Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome the second speaker of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Hall, none other than Tijani Abdulkabir.
Esteemed audience, my opponent have come this far. To only come this far, that can be a very hard pill for them to swallow. But they will swallow this one after I take them through the 5 stages of grief. Stage 1, denial. My opponent have tried to deny the truth by saying that legalization will improve corporation CSR activities. Give them a trophy for that catastrophe. Because according to an article by Harvard Business Review titled Strategy and Society, the link between competitive advantage and corporate social responsibility as a competitive strategy is an inescapable priority for businesses. So you see, the government does not need to be involved in CSR. The free market through competition already provides enough motivation for corporations to get involved in CSR initiatives. Stage 2, anger. Should my opponent ever get angry about losing today, that would be misplaced because it is businesses that should be angry. A 2023 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research titled The Impact of Mandatory CSR Regulation on Firms' Productivity and Profitability report that this regulation can affect a firm's productivity by 2.3% and reduce profit by 4.2%. In addition, a study conducted by the World Bank found that excessive regulations are significant barriers to entrepreneurship and economic growth, particularly in developing countries. To be legally, companies So you see that what my opponent are simply saying is that companies should be legally mandated to lose profits and deter investment, particularly in industries that the profit margins are already thin. Stage 3, bargaining. Opponents, later tonight, don't spend too much time thinking about what you could have done better. There is nothing, because a study published in the Journal of Business Ethics confirms that voluntary CSR activities driven by internal motivations are more effective, driven by positive motivation, are more effective in achieving positive outcomes. Therefore, when CSR become compulsory, company tends to find loopholes. Company tends to find loopholes and engage in CSR to manage legal risks rather than focusing on making genuine and meaningful impact. Stage 4, depression. Judges. Even the law already tells us not to make depressing law. An article by attorney at law.com describes no duty doctrine as a principle in law that a defendant cannot be held responsible for an injury if they do not owe a duty to the plaintiff. That is, even though it is the right thing for you to do, when the house on your street is burning, you have no legal obligation as a person to quench the fire. This is similar to how corporations cannot be mandated to solve societal problems. Investopedia device corporations as legal entities that are separate from their owners, possessing the same rights and responsibility as individuals. So, to legally require corporations to be socially responsible goes against the very principle of law. Finally, stage 5, acceptance. Now that my opponent have all the facts and logic about today's debate, defeat should no longer be a very hard pill for them to swallow. And when we might be sharing the SU president, even the Lord of Hosts knows that tonight we will not have a share in their loss. From the Nnamdi Azikiwe hall, I remain Tijani Abdulkadir.
You are worthy. You are worthy of my praise.
I see the sweet ones, eat the bed them. I see the bed them, come on, eat the sweet ones. I see the sweet ones, eat the bed them. I see the bed them, come on, eat the.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be going straight to the reporter round. I would like to give them a few seconds for them to collate their points for the reporter round. DJ.
Fast bad guy in the building. Bad day to say wale. OBO is coming. Says on the beat. Hey, mother meta shere. Bad I don't met a lady beating back, but you got this. Mother met a shere. Bad, but you got this. I don't met a lady beating back, but you got this. Say then,
I'm gonna get $2 million, no be assets. Some people say them bad like me, but nobody bad out. Some people want my car like me, but them only don't reach. I cover magazine. I sing up for my gym, for my gym. Mr. Kill it, now my boy. If you come into my house, you go see my toys. I get like 100 niggas where they protect me. So if you love yourself, what a fucker. If I tell you, say I love you, oh. My money, my body, now your own, oh baby. Oh, yeah. Versace and Gucci for your body, oh baby. No do, gotta for me. No do, say that, oh. No do, shakara, oh. All right. Every time, why am I money?
Thank you, DJ Opus. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we call upon our speakers for the rebuttal round, I'd love to remind us about the Jawwar shirt giveaway. That shirt is going to go. Go and engage. Go and post something on Twitter and tag Jawwar_UI and get the highest engagement. Follow Jawwar on Instagram, follow on Twitter, and tag Jawwar with a new post or Twitter or tweet. Thank you so much. So right about now, we'll be calling upon the first speaker from the Alexander Brown Hall, the second speaker from the Alexander Brown Hall, which is no other person than
Odeleke Sola.
See, no good day. First day looking, no good day. Charlie Poppy, I walk on you. Too many, I will fly all day. Inside that your area, so another area day inside that your area. Another area day inside that your area, so
Our opponents try to make it look like CSR is only and all about philanthropy. But we have clarified that today, that CSR comes in different forms, including environmental responsibility, ethical responsibility, human rights responsibility, and economic responsibility, as reviewed by the Corporate Finance Institute. They suggested that business will make losses from CSR. Please, let them know that the topic of this debate is not just about any random type of business, but specifically corporations, which are defined as very large businesses like Shell and other multinational companies. Also, according to the Corporate Finance Institute, CSR gives these corporations many benefits, including stronger brand image, retaining key employees, easier access to funding, saving cost of corporations, amongst many others. So whatever losses my opponents have come here to tell us about are evidently products of their own imagination. Ladies and gentlemen, it is surprising that two boys from Zik Hall have come to argue for 8 minutes that instead of legally requiring companies to operate in ways that enhance the society, large companies should be allowed to contribute negatively to the society and to the environment if they so wish. Omar Sheo.
Sadiq, organize. Every other day I organize.
Okay, so speakers, you only have 1 minute for your rebuttal round.
1
minute. So we'll be calling upon the second speaker from the Inamdi Azikwe Hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Tijani Abdukabir.
I never see nothing, I go see something. When I tap at the club, you go don't be thing. Or the killer for my hood, they won't touch my thing. Kilo they won't for me, I want lack over.
Audience, my opponent have come to commit some trespasses. Trespasses 1. Trespasses 1. They cited the abject definition of CSR by us. They missed out that these efforts are self-regulatory and not imposed by the government. Funnily enough, we both cited Investopedia, but the Browner doctored the definition. Trespass 2. They said that corporations and government have a parasitic relationship, that they provide raw materials and labors for businesses. Abba. Small. In what world does this happen? If it happens in ABH, all the entrepreneurs in UR would have moved here. Trespass 3. My opponent tried to draw an equivalence between price control on campus with CSR. That is like comparing Zik to ABH. We are clear. We are different. Regulating price is different from regulating a company's ability to do charity. Trespass 4. They also tried to draw an equivalence between betting regulations and CSR. We've already pointed out that there is a difference between regulations and CSR. One is inherently mandating, one is law. Finally, all these trespasses just to fail to pass. Anyway, Brown Knight, your sins are forgiven. Go back home and sin no more.
Ali go to school, but Ali go nowhere. So Ali leave the school. Ali gonna live. See Ali buy lappy, yeah. Ali make money. Now Ali they happy, I wanna be like Ali. People romance me.
You all, DJ. You all are committing trespasses. Stop that. Baluba, I love you guys.
Just a play, you see say na me you dey do. Just a play.
And we got the music, yo. Empty barrel,
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the speakers of the last round. Omo, it's not easy to speak. Hey. That's enough. Enough trespasses for the night. That's enough.
are my honey. Lórí irọ́, chocolate. Lórí irọ́, my sugarcane. Lórí irọ́, you are my onion. Lórí irọ́,
So, ladies and gentlemen,
you are my pop-up.
ladies and gentlemen, let's run a quick one. So, in this just concluded round, the round between the Alexander Brown Hall against the Nnamdi Azikiwe Hall, which hall is going to be making it to the finals?
Number one, number
Thank you. So now another quick one. Hey. Another quick one. So in the all category, the first round, the competition between the Amazonians of the University of Ibadan and the great men of Kuti, which all will be making it to the grand finale. Hey! Amazons, where are you now? Amazons, make some noise!
Just the play. You see, say, na me you dey do. Just the play.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, while we await the fate of our speakers tonight, while we await the conclusion of tonight's debate tournament, I'll be calling upon Matty Grills to come and address us for a brief moment. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as I welcome on stage the representative.
All right. Greatest Shiites. Good evening, everyone. Greatest Shiites. All right, thank you guys for having us. My name is Oladipo, and a lot of people call me Mati. Greatest Shiites. Greatest Bagba. Greatest. All right. So, in the spirit of Valentine and in the spirit of love, my brand will be giving out some food packs to some of you guys. I'm sure you guys heard when the MC announced earlier for you to follow us on social media, on Instagram and on Twitter. If you haven't done that, now is a good time to do it. So please follow us on Instagram and on Twitter, Matty Grills. And that being said, Iyanu would anchor the giveaway.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Iyanu here. So we'll be picking 2 people from Instagram and 2 people from Twitter. So if I call your name, please come outside with a means of identification. So from Instagram, Iki Moi Moi, and then Mayowa Peculiar from Instagram. And then from Twitter, we have Mr. Accolade and Oguremi Oluwaseun. Please come outside.
Come
make
outside.
It
And with a means of identification. Oh. Please put your hands together for them. When we call giveaway sections, next time, take them seriously.
So this is a very special one. We have our Valentine box here.
Oh.
Yeah, and these winners would go home with one love box and a tote bag and a t-shirt. Yeah, Matty Grills. So thank you guys so much. All right, thank you so much for having us. Have a good night.
Please put your hands together for Matty Grills. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, DJ Helpmos. Ladies and gentlemen, can you agree with me that it has been a fun ride all along? From the day one of Jawwar to this present moment. Make some noise for yourself if you have been showing up since day one. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to come. What did he say? Eh? Oh, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we call the scores for tonight, I'll be calling upon Dr. Damola Lewis to address us for a few minutes.
It's time to cook, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare. It's time to cook. Everybody say cook. Cook. Cook.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, boys and gentlemen, people that love me back, I will take you there. Lagos to Benin, London to Ekene.
Ladies, gentlemen, and Zikites, good evening. Yeah. And not to mention our dear Atonda here. Say hello to your girlfriend. All right, so fine. Yeah. Great, so we've had a very good evening. Chief Judge, my colleague Taylor, timekeeper, everyone. So I would say that the debates were really engaging, except the last one. Yeah, all the debates were very engaging, except the very last one. Now let me start with that. I mean, I just have a few comments because I'm a bit under the weather. So, so ABH, okay, so we had a good comeback with ABH. The gentleman who got caught by stage fright. The interesting thing about it is that he was able to complete the debate. A good number of people would have walked out, but it's great. And then he had a very good backup as the second speaker. And one thing about ABH tonight is that they both kept to time. Unlike the Zikites, the two speakers from Zikol, if I'm not mistaken, went past 30 seconds of their timing. I mean, how do you do that? So for them, so that alone has cost them 4 marks from me. I don't know about the other judges. So whatever you have said in the content that was lacking has been taken away from your timing. I mean, I don't know how you do such things. We also saw someone coming to tell us about percent instead of percent. And a gentleman who comes with untrimmed beard and stands before us. Now, even if you keep a beard, you must at least trim it. I'm talking about what was it that he said? The one trespasses. All right, so fine.
Kulu. One house, one house.
All right. Is that not what's her name here? So all said, well, that was the worst debate tonight, obviously. Yeah. I think that between the social sciences and the faculty of arts, the first speaker, Atonda, seemed to have missed the topic. Well, his emphasis was, and the second speaker also mentioned a few things like that, but the emphasis was on problem solving when we were talking about issues of culture. So it's important. They tried to make a comeback. I mean, in the second speaker tried to deviate from emphasizing problems. So when you say things like mutual interdependence and how globalization is helping us to fight wars, hey, children, abẹ́fẹ́ gbé pè. Èpè ìrọ̀lẹ́, ẹ̀yin tó bá sọ̀rọ̀ tó bá mí fín tí n bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ kò ní ṣu kò ní tọ̀ fún ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì. Ṣẹ́gbà bẹ́ẹ̀. All right, so fine. Yeah. All right, so fine. So quiet. So they were talking about mutual interdependence and solving the problems of wars and conflicts, but that's away from culture. But they had a very good comeback, I would say, with the examples that they gave of Africans using globalization to spread our culture, and they gave specific examples. So maybe that leveled out for them. I don't know. So when they brought out the Duolingo examples and all of those kind of things, that was fine, yeah. So we had things like dictionary. I don't know what that is. And someone telling us that referring to the heart and faculty of art. But both ways it was art and art. I don't know what that means. So the words are art and heart. I mean, they're not... So whenever she said art, I was looking art, where's art? Art, and the heart. Okay, so fine. I think I also heard something like, something. So those mistakes ought not be for experts like you that we look up to. I don't think that the Faculty of Arts was able to rebut the fact that it was displayed by social sciences that globalization was used to promote African culture. So that was the point that they gave that was not rebutted and all of that stuff, yeah. Okay, tech and lore, we're talking about... Yeah, I like the way that tech came up with the definition of adequacy. It was very apt. These are my opinions, so not all the judges, right? But yeah. So they established that fact very clearly, making us all agree with them, even if we didn't want to, that the issue was not that it was the best, but that it was adequate. So that was a very good one. I think that debate was a tough one for law, it's difficult for you to come and explain that. I mean, adequate is what they said now, not best. So it was a good one. And so law came up with a lot of logic. But one major flaw of law was, and it was pointed out by tech, was that IT was not part of formal education. So yeah. One thing that law did very well, however, was that they emphasized the fact that they were talking about the African job market. Yeah, so that one came clearly from law and so on. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I forgot to mention that Zikites, they had a ready advantage. And then their first speaker comes here reading the last part of his speech. Who does that? Zikites, okay, all right, yeah. So yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, so. Yeah, the banter between Awo and Zikol, and Kuti rather, Awo and Kuti. Yeah, okay. It was okay. One thing that I would like to say about most of the speakers is that the delivery, I would give it to this gentleman, what's his name now? In terms of delivery. Okay, great. It's a Zikite, right? The exception to the rule. So yeah, I found why I say his delivery was distinct was he was calm.
Thank you.
I have a pay on reserve. All right, so fine, yeah. So what I would say is that he was pretty calm and he marshaled out his points without shouting into the mic. Everybody came and said, I don't know. So, like I said, look, we're not in the Fourth World War. We're just in Jawwar. So you can make your points without fighting with the mic. We should try to do that, because then even the audience and the judges will miss out on some of the points because we're just screaming into the mic. And that's when it's even easier for us to forget our points and then all of that. Yeah. You're right. It's all right. You've just won a medal, right? So I was wrong and you were right. Anyway, yeah. So by and large, we had a good debate today, and I hope that the teams will go practice for the finals and ensure that we have the crescendo at the finals. So we don't want any mistakes. We don't want any, we want a well-researched and presented, delivered finals. So I'd say a big thank you to all the speakers here. Those who are wearing jackets and those who are wearing socks, all of you, thank you, yeah. Yeah, of course now, I mean, like one of the speakers of Zikol looks like he just designed a sack and then wore it and brought. But it's okay. I mean, this is that's it. No, I'm sorry. It's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Damola Lewis. Yee, he has cooked. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and Zikites, we have gotten to the part of tonight's tournament, and we know that we are so enthusiastic about the scores. So I'm going to be calling upon the chief judge for tonight, which is no other person than Professor Remy Ayede. Put your hands together for him.
I'm a logo down. Cash money, I'm a yummy job. Don't so keep I'm another drum. Kali push you good it up.
Jawwar 2024. Yeah, when we started, I was searching for the energy. Now it's right here. I must tell you that this has been a very competitive debate. And the winners took the day with a very tiny margin, decimal places. Jawwar 2024. Okay. Here are the results.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to hear the results.
The battle. Okay, Dr. Lewis, I want to have 1-1-0 draw. So I start with ladies and gentlemen and Awoites. Yeah? Now, for the best speaker tonight is the first speaker.
I see a daddy, yeah, you with a turn up, turn up. When people hear the bell, you they go turn up, turn up. Ladies, they feeling like why they turn up, turn up. Ask the boy, the man, yeah, they turn up.
Ladies and gentlemen, in reiteration, we'll be announcing the best speaker for the all category. So the best speaker for the all category.
Is the first speaker for Kuti Hall, Ayo Salakore Rehoboth.
I have a confession, don't take it personal. I have a confession, so you gotta listen.
For the faculty, we also have the best speaker.
Who is the best speaker? Can you guess this best speaker? Are you sure?
Is the first speaker. for the Faculty of Law. Honorable Victor.
He's sleeping in my bed.
So congratulations, young man.
I want your body sleeping in my bed. You got me going crazy. Oh girl, I can't explain it. Your body's so insane. Oh girl, I can't replace you. You got me going crazy. Oh girl, I can't explain it. Your body's so insane. Oh girl,
Jawwar 2024.
Stand up, speak up, shut up. So this is the part we want us to shut up.
Now,
if you don't get money,
Kulu kulu.
Temper.
Kulu kulu.
Temper. Now we're going to the faculty results. Between technology and law, we had 69.1, 69.3, and the winner is Faculty of Technology.
money, hide your face. You can call me phone doctor. Ọmọ ya teacher. Wọ́n ti gba penalty lọ.
Faculty of Technology. Ladies and gentlemen,
Don't climb the stage. Don't come to the stage.
down.
Don't come to the stage.
Down.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Don't come to the stage.
ladies and gentlemen,
We still have more results.
I know that we are very excited, but on no account should you run to the stage. On no account should you run to the stage. Thank you.
Between Faculty of the Social Sciences and the Faculty of Arts, the first score I have here, 65.3.
That's for the Faculty of Arts.
Sorry, please. The Faculty of Law should come back right into the hall right now. If they don't come back, there'll be penalties.
Speakers, audience, speakers, it was said earlier on that on no account should you leave the stage. On no account should you leave the stage at the announcement of the results. Thank you. Faculty of Law, if you can hear us, please find your way to this venue. So let's proceed.
I hope you know that Jawwar 2024, greatest UX. Please remember that we are still within the ambience of the University of Ibadan. And we expect discipline and responsibility. The next score I have, which is for the Faculty of the Social Sciences, 68.3. The next result we have is between Alexander Brown Hall and Nnamdi Azikiwe Hall.
Let's come down. Audience,
The first
we're about
score,
to announce the all category round.
the first score we have here is 58.1, and the second Score is 60.8. The winner is Inamdi Azikiwe.
And the winner for this category is
This is Insight Radio, and my name is Shofu Babalola, and you are now listening to your number one online radio station. The light you need on Insight Radio.